Ooh. All right, so my favorite thing to do of any convention, all right, if you want to talk about crazy stuff, is obviously this has to involve Dragon Con, right? I mean, like, let's just go ahead and put that on the table. This has to involve Dragon Con, right? Trey, the writer for Last Stop, annually we comb the Craigslist ads for Dragon Con every year, and it is possibly some of the most hilarious stuff you've ever read or heard about, like what these people want to do, or just like, and it's some of the weirdest stuff. Like, maybe not last year, maybe it was the year before. We came across the alien, the Xenomorph and Predator orgy ad.
Oh, wow. Man.
Had the hotel number, the hotel room at the Marriott and everything in the ad, and said you would only be let in the room for the orgy if you were in full Predator or Xenomorph regalia. Like,
wow.
I was like, whoa.
Talk about face grabbers.
Well, it's just like, how many people can really show up to that party? Like, is there really
It's a very exclusive party.
Right.
Wow.
So it just, and that's just like the icing on the cake.
I think I'm going to have a new hobby.
I know, right?
I mean, looking up on Craigslist, not dressing like a Xenomorph.
Right.
I swear.
That would be a great podcast just to like read the ads, because
Right.
That would.
Yeah. We're going to have to jot that down.
and just know every Memorial Day weekend there's a of ads.
That's hilarious. I guess the follow up with that question, what's the craziest commission that you guys have ever been asked to draw?
I drew someone's dog. I mean, it wasn't really crazy.
Well, I mean, it could be. I guess it depends on the dog.
I was like, I draw your dog, I guess. Well, that would be swell. And I was like, okay. I'll tell you the most fun one I had is this guy was like, we draw a Finn doing taxes. And I was like, so I drew Finn from Adventure Time leaning over a table, working on different paperworks, and he had all his receipts next to him. And I had so much fun working on it. The guy was like, well, how much do I pay? I said, whatever you want to pay, man. I said, it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, gave me $100. I was like, what? Whenever I do Adventure Time stuff and like people pay me for it, I almost feel bad taking their money, because I'm like, hey, I almost feel bad taking their money. But I'm like, you you could probably draw this too. It takes minimal effort. Yeah, man, that was a weird commission to be asked, like doing taxes. Okay.
I'm guessing they were an accountant, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, man, he was this 18-year-old kid.
What? Okay, throw that out.
I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Weirdest commission. I've drawn dogs. I've drawn cats. Man, I don't know. Let me ask my fiance here, Lisa. Weirdest commission? Yeah, I don't know. I've done some weird, there's got to be something. I just can't think of it off the top of my head here. I want to think of it when it's not relevant, obviously.
Yeah. Well, you guys probably do so much too. I'm sure that it probably all blends together. I was just thinking there might have been that one that just stuck out.
We do a lot of weird stuff, so like weird becomes the norm. It's like
yeah. I can see that.
To me, taxes are weird. I'm like, man, these aren't monsters and robots.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends. They are the IRS.
I definitely had a creeped out moment once when I did the. This guy, he came around. I don't remember what convention this was, but came around and he sort of got commissions, and I don't want to say what character, because if I do, the guy's gonna know or who other people are gonna know.
Sure, yeah.
But he just came around. He got the same character commissioned by basically like everybody in the row. Right, just came down the aisle and just was like, "Will you do this character? Will you do this character?" And it was the same character for sort of everybody, right?
Oh wow!
And I had a commission. I already had done a pre-con piece of this, like just as a warm up of the same character, and he sort of saw that, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I see you can do this. Can you do one for me?" And I was like, "Well, that one's for sale. You can buy that one if you want it. I'll do another one, but that one's already done." And he was like, no, yeah, I just want my own or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. And the guy was a little weird, but a little weird is normal at a comic book convention.
Yeah.
We're all a little weird. So I just brushed off. I was all good, whatever. But I could already tell that he liked sort of the sexiness of the character. So I was like, all right, well, let's go for something like that. Let's please the man. And so, I did this like sexier pose with the character and all this stuff. And he came back around later on. And when he came back around nice, I was like, oh, here you go. And he gave me the creepiest, yeah. Oh, bro, no. I was like, he was satisfied. He was happy.
Yeah. I'm sure
he was.
Yeah. And later that night, he was probably satisfied again.
Where someone asked me to draw a character from a show I worked on as Harley Quinn, but they wanted it in the Bruce Timm costume, but done more in the Bruce Timm style than the show style that I worked on. And I said, okay, so you want me to just draw Harley Quinn then? They were, no, I want so-and-so. And I was like, okay, but, no one's going to know. And he goes, I'll know. I was like, all right. Fair enough.
That's hilarious.
That is, oh, man.
Speaking on like some past things that you guys worked on, I guess we'll start over. We'll kind of jump back and forth a little bit between you. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about Frisky Dingo?
Frisky Dingo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great job. I love working with those guys at 7030. Frisky Dingo, created by Adam Reed and Matt Thompson, and working with guys like Christian Danley, Casey Williams, Eric Sims, and Mac Williams, Neil Holman, and Dave Caicedo, and Chad Hurd. Did I miss anyone? Let's see. Did I say Christian Danley, Casey Willis? Yeah, there are only a couple of us. I feel really bad if I miss anyone. They'll listen, they'll be like, jerk. But, that was such a fun show because, I've got ADD. And every episode I could work on something else. I'd work on characters, or I'd draw backgrounds. Or a show like Frisky Dingo and Archer and stuff, you, as an illustrator and a designer, you design digital puppets. So we would draw the parts. The animators would actually put into the animation program that they use at the time we're using After Effects. But we'd draw them in Illustrator, and we would make little test animations that would show the animators how to use the puppets. But it was just a fun show, and we were in a little house in Atlanta, East Atlanta, and we lived across the street from the actual Mr. Ford, who voiced his own character in the show, and lawns for $40. He carried an airsoft pistol in his butt crack. Yeah, it was. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you today. Hey, how's it going, Mr. Ford? He's like, oh, pretty good. No, boss man needs a lawn mowed, $40. I was like, you can ask him. They'd bought a foreclosed house, and it was just in a neighborhood. And, every day, these 6 guys would show up, and they would go in, and people had ideas and theories on what we were doing there and thought we were shooting weird movies, you know, with a bunch of guys in the house. And every once in a while, they make you answer the door with a sheet and be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" No, we're busy making movie magic in here. But one time, someone stopped me. They found out what we did. They handed me a script. And I was like, hey, for legal reasons, I can't take this. Like, what if they're making this already at Adult Swim? Like, I mean, they could actually be making Dog Apartment right now. It's a dog. I don't have time to. I had time, but but not and drive on the freeway there in Atlanta.
What freeway? It's barely in Atlanta.
Man, that was the best. I love those guys. Working with them was just a joy, and it was fun to be touching almost every aspect of creating a show and doing it in such a quick turnaround time. So, yeah,
nice.
But it was fun. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, that is a fun show.
Yeah. It's on Hulu if you want to go watch it, or adultswim.com. That, the Exticles. Pretty good. I was able to help Mr. Ford say Exticle because he couldn't pronounce it.
No.
I wanted to get him to say Exticle, and I was like, say X, and he was like, X, and then I was like, say tickle, like tickle me Elmo, and he was like, X tickle. And I was like, there you go. Because it was like SSX. I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but SSX is not Exticle.
Yeah, because you voiced one of the characters on Frisky Dingo too, right? And same thing on Archer.
Yeah, Roy the limo driver.
Yeah.
That's right. His pants.
Nice.
Penguins. Yes.
All right. Hey, Hoyt.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about Drink Champs, the webcomic?
Dude, Drink Champs is probably the best comic gig I've ever had, honestly. That was Drink Champs, if people who aren't familiar about it, is a podcast. Is the number one podcast in the world right now. They get millions of listeners every week.
Wow.
Man.
And they
at least until we drop this one.
They basically it's Noreaga from Komander Noreaga, N.O.R.E, and DJ EFN. And they basically got together, and what they do is they interview hip-hop legends. And they are hip-hop legends in their own right, to be perfectly honest. But they interview hip-hop legends. They get drunk and high with these guys, and then they just share, like, crazy stories. And my job every week is just to take one of the stories that they've shared and turn that into a quick little webcomic. Nice. And that is, like, just so much fun because they just share the wildest stuff. And I've always been a fan of hip-hop. I got like hooked up with them via Twitter. Basically I was listening to the podcast when it first started. I grew up in Queens, not far from where Noreaga's from. He was one of those guys that like I sort of looked up to as just like, hey, that's how you make it out of here. This is not a great situation. I actually originally wanted to do hip hop for a portion of my life. I wanted to be a rapper. Okay. And then fell into sort of the comics thing and realized I liked more storytelling than I liked the rapping thing. And that's what I really enjoyed about hip hop and just everything in my life. So, that like sort of took a back seat. But once I started hearing them do the show, I was like, man, these stories are like so hilarious. I would love to do just like little comic strip, like Sunday funnies of this stuff. And Hazardous Sounds, their engineer, liked what was going on. So, I just did one just to do one, just to show them like, hey, like this is what I want to do with it. And then when I did it, Haz and EFN contacted me, and we just got the ball rolling on it. I ended up flying down there for the Havoc episode of Mobb Deep, like episode 17, and I got to sit in the room while they sort of like interviewed and hung out with this legend.
That's
the legend also.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's a ton of fun, man. And then from there, I also do like the occasional homage image for them. And what that is I just take like a record cover or an album cover of someone they're interviewing, and I turn that and put them on that cover instead of the artist. And those are a lot of fun because I get to like look at all these like awesome hip hop album covers that I've always enjoyed over the years, and I get to like really study them and then try to do my own rendition of them.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I'm super humbled that they would even share the stage with me. That they would even put me on like that and share my stuff like that. That's I'm really humbled. Like they're awesome for doing that. To be honest, and we're 42 episodes deep now in the webcomic.
Okay.
What was in today?
So, yeah. Actually, today we dropped the 42nd episode. It's about basically on episode 44 of the podcast, or 42 of the 41 of the podcast. They had Young Jeezy on, and Young Jeezy told us, what N.O.R.E was talking to Jeezy about how Jeezy got barred entrance to the whole party thing that they had when Obama got elected, and it's because Jeezy's record didn't clear. Felon, blah, all this stuff. They didn't let him into the so N.O.R.E told his version of what he thought happened, and I turned that into a comic. So that was like kind of fun because I got to draw a panel of sort of Barack Obama smoking weed, which is not the truth, but totally fun to do. And yeah, it's just like the way they tell things. It's cool because even though I'm the writer creator of it and I write it every week, I feel more like a scribe because they tell these awesome, hilarious stories. And my job is just to go in there and turn that into a comic, And so it's just awesome to get to hear these like firsthand and hear them talk about these things and then try to take my own take on it.
That's cool. Do you get to hear it before the podcast gets dropped? Or
right now, because I started late on it, I'm still playing catch up with where they are. So they're on episode 70 or 70 something, and I'm getting close to 50.
Okay.
So where, I still listen to everything as it comes out, but once I get caught up to that, because I started on 16, they were on episode 16 when I did the first one. So basically I just had to go back and catch up all the other episodes to it. So I'm just like that far behind, but I've got stuff in the chamber and we'll have some double features coming up shortly enough that will catch us right up to that.
Nice.
Who is your favorite hip hop artist? If you
hands down, it's got to be Nas.
Nas
to me, yeah. Just totally. I don't know how much you guys are into hip hop, but that guy like changed the game. So
yeah,
the second you said hip hop, our Sam just immediately leaned forward and was like an inch away from the microphone.
That's what's up. Yeah. No, I've always been a huge fan of hip hop, and Nas to me is like, again, another Queens dude. He was to me the first, from my experience. I know Rakim came before him and all that, but
oh man, that's what I'm talking about.
But in my life, through my experiences, the way I saw it, he was the first that was like, the street dude, but had a perspective beyond that. Like he was looking beyond his station.
Right.
And that to me was like incredibly inspiring as a kid, and still to this day. When I look back on that stuff, I'm like, and everything that he does, he's just always like moving that needle, and he's at a point where he's like making hip hop for himself.
Right.
And it's crazy to look back over his whole career and see that he does these things. And when he does them, people at first are like, oh, that's weird. Or no, I'm not into that. And then all of a sudden that becomes the thing.
Yeah. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and I think personally to me, hip hop is I think everything is about relatability, but definitely hip hop. So, growing up in Queens and having a dude from Queens explain these things to me, because my pops also wasn't around from when I was 12 on. So, I was like raised on like Jadakiss and Nas and Mobb Deep, and all these guys, DMX and all this stuff. Like they were my father figures, to a certain extent. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So, Sam, let's not bury lead anymore. I'm sure you probably get asked about this in every interview. Can we talk a little bit about season 1 of Archer?
Sure.
If you just talk about, obviously it was a lot of the people probably from Frisky Dingo.
This is going to turn into the Jerry Lewis interview. Yes.
Oh no.
Nah, Sam. Explain it.
Don't ask me a yes or no question. Ask me a find out question. Maybe like a how do you feel or a
what was it like to be there those early days? And did you think that Archer would be as big as it was when you were doing it in the first place?
Oh, that's a good question, Hoyt.
I've heard the guy answer the question a million times. So.
I'm sure.
So yeah, early on, we were doing Frisky Dingo, but instead of superheroes, we were doing spies. It was still. Adam Reed's humor is really good, and it's kind of the same thing. It's okay. Well, these guys work together. Their office is a ship. That's Frisky Dingo. These guys work together. Their office is own office. And it's hard to tell how things will play out, especially after being on a show that was canceled just before and seeing what kind of terrible lead-ins we would get on FX, and then we started getting better lead-ins, things like Spider-Man 2 or the Simpsons movie, and then it would cut over to Archer, and you'd get like the Million Moms Across America writing,
yeah,
going, this is terrible, it needs to be, and it's like, well, hang on, look, I'm not going to get into morality issues. I'm just going to get into your terrible parenting issues.
There you go. Right.
What are they doing up at 10 o'clock?
11. It was on at 11.
Yeah, right. I remember that.
And the parental discretion still does before each episode. There are warnings on there, and parents that are unengaged with their family. That's what's disintegrating America. Not
Exactly.
Not just the shows that are on there. It's the fact that people disengage from what goes on within the walls of their own home. So
yeah, the same parents that took their kids to go see Sausage Party.
It'll be great.
Yeah, right.
Sure, well, so it's like just know what your kids are doing, but don't blame us. I don't blame a gun manufacturer for people's deaths that are gun related. Unless there's a fault with the gun, like if Bugs Bunny puts his finger in the barrel of your gun, it better not blow out the back.
Right. Stupid Acme.
I want it to blow right through Bugs Bunny's hand and arm. Rip it off. That's cool about it. But no, it was fun. Like the first episode, it was the same crew. Essentially, there were a couple fewer people on there, and we took just a little bit longer to do the first episode of Archer. And then we found a facility to work in. We were moving out of the house. We got into an actual animation studio that had the right amount of equipment, because when you're starting a thing, people will go, well, what's the budget for a show? And I'm not going to say what it is, because it's, they can find out by Googling it. But like, they go, oh man, that's a lot of money. And it's like, well, you have to pay all your voice actors. You have to pay all your animators and illustrators. And, you have to pay rent for the place, and you have to pay your electric bill, and you got to buy all those fancy computers, and not just the computers, but the software, because you need full legal versions of that. Not everyone's using the same software for all the different departments. Can't have everyone there at the same time. If you do, you're going to have parking issues. You're going to have people that aren't working because there is no work created for them yet. You're making Gantt charts to figure out when people are coming in. So being part of that is always fun for me. I mean, I help produce stuff, and I like the business. I like creating the most, But early on, when I was still doing school stuff, I was talking to, I don't know if you guys have gotten an interview, Kazu, who does Flight, Amulet, and stuff, but he'd come to school that I was at, and was talking to him because I was just in awe on how well he did the Flight anthologies and his Bolt City website, and he was telling me about all the business aspects that he had to do and the different hats he had to wear, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to get good at that stuff too. And he's like, man, I hate it. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It sounds pretty cool being able to know that stuff. But, as I've done all the admin stuff, I'm like, man, I hate that stuff. I just want to get in and get dirty and work on the things. So, on the early days, like the very first episode, again, it was wearing a bunch of hats. It was designing characters along with Chad Hurd and doing, I helped develop the style of the cars. How did we get cars? Well, we didn't really have a 3D modeler on hand, so I used handy dandy SketchUp, and I'd go to the 3D warehouse online, grab SketchUp models that the community had made, that were free to use. And then I'd bring them into Photoshop and I would redraw them. And, that became part of, the visual style of that world. And it was good because you'd find the correct models that were right for the time period. And it's like, oh, sweet, And
also
then
helps you handle perspective and, you can get a little crazy with your camera and all that stuff too. I mean, SketchUp is amazing.
Yeah, so, and that's a really quick going back to something that Hoyt had said early on. We have tools like SketchUp now. And when you think about our job, whether it's cartoons or comics, our job is to tell a story. So we shouldn't have to get all worried about the perspective, if that's not our main focus.
No,
it's like,
yeah.
We just need to make the thing and put it in perspective so it doesn't pull people out of the story.
Absolutely. I mean, it's I akin it to, sort of if a plumber shows up to your house and he shows up with like a power wrench, you're not going to be like, hey man, no, you got to pull out that wrench and I want to see you wrench this, like, I want to see you break your back. Like, you're not going to tell the guy that. He showed up to do a job and he's got a tool that's going to help him. Like, there's no real problem with that as long as the focus is the story. And that goes straight hand in hand because you need the tools, the specific right tools for the job in your toolbox. For example, like Mike Mignola doesn't like to draw feet and doesn't use perspective. Mike Mignola is doing a stage play whenever he does comics. That's how he sets up his backgrounds. That's how he sets up his characters and his and all of his stuff and his storytelling. Stage plays don't have perspective. They have false perspective. They're there just to give you enough that you feel like something's going on. And that's the same thing that Mike Mignola is doing with his. So he actually doesn't need perspective, and perspective would get in the way of what he does.
Yeah.
It would take you out of that moment. So it's just that. It's a tool to be used if you need it in the story you're telling.
Yeah, you'll see the percent me an arch and everything under. It's like I like to walk around conventions and go up to artists and go, did you make that pencil? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Oh, did you manufacture that Copic marker? Get it out of here.
I mean, it's a quote Steve Houston who he was giving a talk. He's a famous painter, and he was giving a talk, and he showed this painting where he light boxed the Jack Daniels bottle that was in the painting. He was like, yeah, I'm painting the bottle. I don't need to blow the glass and brew the alcohol in order to paint the bottle. I just need to paint the bottle. That's it. So it's whatever your objective is and whatever gets you there, and that's really what's important.
So it's a fun little tool. Not having to draw the daggone cars by ourselves each time. Just place the car, then draw the car. But use that reference, man. I'll tell you. I know I'm veering off. We'll land this plane. We're taking this route.
Oh, we're good. We're good. We're used to doing this when we're.
It's the journey, not the destination, right?
Yeah, there you go. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I thought, oh man, I draw stuff straight out of my imagination, you know. But and I was like, oh, if you're using reference, you're cheating. And young artists go, oh no, I drew that. I didn't look at anything. It's like, hey, guess what? It's okay to